Okay, I think we got it. Can you hear me? Man, what? Unbelievable. Thanks again for bearing with me. I don't know what happened. This mic will be my downfall. And now I can see it's just blasting. Okay, here we go. How's that? Is that a little better? Anyway, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the live stream. What would a CryptoDad live stream be without some sort of technical glitch involving the mic? What? So here we are. We're going to discuss this new ledger recovery service tonight. I posted a video earlier today when I first found out about it. So we'll talk about that tonight. I got everything set up here. It looks like everyone can, looks like the mic won round one. Let's see if we can get over to this screen over here. We're going good. Yeah, I know. It's well, I don't know if it was the mic or if it was just a USB configuration. It was so weird because I just recorded a video earlier today, but I was using OBS Studio instead of Streamlabs OBS. And I had quit OBS Studio, so I launched Streamlabs, I configured everything, went live, and then you guys were like, I can't hear you. So I looked down and there was no registration of the mic at all. So I quit, went over to OBS Studio. Mic was working fine. Came back into OBS, Streamlabs OBS. Unfortunately, when in order to quit OBS Streamlabs, I actually have to quit the live stream and it bombs me out of my YouTube live stream. So I have to go back over to YouTube and reschedule the live stream. You guys don't want to hear any of this. Anyway, we've just heard today that there is a new service called Ledger Recover. And this is the Ledger Recover. Let me kind of go through what they've given us so far. So they say, well, how does it work? It's a subscription-based service. You sign up, your identity is verified using an ID document and a selfie recording, which is also kind of weird. Your Ledger Nano X duplicates the security recovery phrase. This is the point of contention that everyone's getting to. It's that. Let me see if I can. I know this is weird, but I'm having some issues with me being cut off. Oh, God. Here we go. Okay, here. This thing. Okay. Okay, there we go. So the top of my head was being cut off, and it was freaking me out. Okay, so your identity is verified using your ID document and a selfie. Your Ledger Nano X duplicates your recovery, your secret recovery phrase. What is that? What do they mean by that? They mean that you connect your ledger to Ledger Live somehow, and then somehow your recovery phrase spits out, encrypted or otherwise. This could be foolproof cryptography, but the fact that your Ledger device is actually spitting out the recovery phrase is a big point of contention for everyone in the crypto space. It's not supposed to do that. We've been told over and over again that the Ledger device cannot reproduce your recovery phrase, right? It's like there's a term for it. Anyway, let's go to the next step, right? The backup for your security recovery phrase is linked to your verified identity. Another big one for most people. What about privacy? Then the backup is fragmented into 3 pieces. Each of the encrypted fragments is secured independently by Ledger, Coincover, and a third party. Okay, yeah. So, okay, they've got this cryptographic thing that happens and it splits into 3 pieces and goes off and hangs out, in 3 different locations. In case one of the locations goes down, we still got 2 and whatever, right? How do we set this up? Create your Ledger recovery log in using your email and password, add your payment details. You got to pay for this too. On Fido, whatever that is, the ID verification provider will guide you in verifying your identity. Connect your Ledger Nano X. It will generate secure the backup of your secret recovery phrase. Whoa. How to recover? Okay, log into your account, connect your Ledger Nano X, and confirm your personal details. I'm assuming at this point it's blank, right? Because you need a recovery. On Fido and electronic ID, the ID verification providers will guide you in verifying your identity. The backup for your security recovery phrase is restored to the Ledger Nano X. So we've got like a remote recovery going on. There's just so many things wrong with this. I just can't. I'm kind of flabbergasted. Now, let me go ahead and cover that little news story that we've got posted down below. If you've never been in one of my live streams, I've got the news stories are linked down below, and tonight it's only one news story. We're only going to go till 7. It's been kind of a busy day for me, but I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I'm going to get into the chat here in just a second as soon as I cover this story, just for the general reaction of the crypto sphere, the space, right? Crypto community reacts to Ledger Wallet secret recovery phrase service. Many members of the crypto community believe Ledger's latest seed phrase recovery feature is a bad idea, right? So here they're announcing it, which is where I found out about it earlier today. They kind of go into the description. We've gone through that. And of course, Ledger's, oh, well, you don't have to use it if you don't want to use it. Right. Nevertheless, the concept has enraged many in the crypto community, including security specialists. Mundit Gupta, the chief information security officer at Polygon Labs, shared, "It's a horrendous idea. Don't enable this feature." Gupta expanded further in his Twitter thread that the problem here is that the encrypted key parts are sent to 3 corporations and they can reconstruct the keys. Well, we don't know that for sure, but that's his contention. At least I don't know that for sure. I didn't see that anywhere in that setup. But when I was listening to the Twitter, I got the idea that the only way you could create the encrypted pieces was with your device, and the only way that the pieces of the encrypted fragments could be put back together is on the device. That was my understanding. So my understanding was that these fragments wouldn't do any good to any 3 of these 3 entities, right? That they wouldn't have any way of reconstructing the phrase on their own. That was my understanding, but I could be wrong. That would seem to be the way you would do something like this cryptographically. Anyway, that's his beef, right? I get that. Founder and CEO of Binance, Changpeng Zhao, chimed in on Gupta's thread saying, "So the seed can leave the device now? ? Sounds like a different direction than your keys never leave the device." That's the big contention, right? That's my contention too, right? Keys are never supposed to leave the device, right? Totally secure device. Once it's been initialized, once you initialize it, when you first set it up, it will show you the key. That once. After you have written down the key, it goes to the next step and then initializes, and then you've got an empty wallet. And supposedly, it's not supposed to give you a key after that, right? This new service supposedly is going to give you the key when you connect it. All right, so bad idea. Let's see. Ledger just released a new update for Nano X that allows social recovery of your seed phrase and encrypts the 3 shards and sends it to different entities that can then reconstruct your seed for post-ID verification. We still don't know that is true. And here it is. Let's go ahead and connect it in a minute. So we got all that. Oh, I'm sorry, I'd already read that. That was just a reframing of that original thing. Okay, so here we go. And then the trust in ledger, which I mentioned earlier in my video that I posted earlier today. First, they exposed mailing addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses of their customers, and now they've put a backdoor into seed phrases. It's time to say goodbye to Ledger. Crypto investor DC Investor also referenced Ledger's previous data leak that left users exposed and vulnerable, saying, reminder that several years ago, Ledger leaked the name and home addresses of all their customers via data breach. The absolute last thing you want to do the last thing you want on their servers is your private key, right? I get that too. My contention is I don't know that these fragments can be reconstructed without the device. But I guess I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, right? Bitcoin investor and entrepreneur Alistair Mullane shared, sure, you could use Ledger's new recovery service and give them your private keys controlling your assets, as well as a copy of your ID and other personal information. But why then bother with a hardware wallet in the first place, right? His post suggested that Ledger's latest recovery service undermines the whole point of self-custody via hard wallet. I believe it. Okay. All right, so we got some talkative people over in the chat window. I think Matt is here. Hi, Emmanuel. Nice to hear from you in the live stream. We spoke earlier via email. And then they talk about the Ledger Nano S Plus, which came out earlier, and some background on the company. So my big question is, where in the F is my Ledger Stacks? You know, the brand new, big, giant new product thing that they launched back in November of last year, and they made us all pay for it up front and told us that we would have it in March, early March. And then in early March, we get an email saying, gee, sorry, we couldn't deliver the product that you already paid for in the time frame that we estimated. It's going to be another couple months, maybe more. And since then, not one email saying, gee, thanks for waiting, we're still working on it. Nothing. Just ghosted. Silence. Haven't heard a word about my Ledger Stacks since March, like March 3rd, right? And now they've just released this brand new service and causing all this stir. Shouldn't they have been focused on delivering their Ledger Stacks as opposed to coming up with some new crazy service? All right. So that's my that's my rant. But let's try to break things down a little bit here, as far as maybe why did they do this? I get it. I get a lot of people that are having trouble with their wallets. Either they did something wrong, they sent crypto somewhere, they screwed up their recovery, they lost their crypto, something. I get a lot of people that email me with problems with their device. And in those emails, they always say, I sent an email to Ledger about this, or I opened a support ticket with Ledger about this. And I always thought to myself, what's Ledger going to do? They just make the wallet. They can't get your crypto back, right? And I'm just one guy on YouTube. They are probably getting hundreds of calls a day, people begging them to get their crypto back that they screwed up and lost. So can you imagine this company, number one wallet out there, at least they were yesterday, and they're just getting buried in tech support calls from people that screw things up and are blaming Ledger for their lost finances. Like, where's my crypto? You know, I lost my seed phrase. I want my crypto back. You need to give it back to me. You're the company that made the wallet. And then they're like, I'm sorry, we can't, because it's self-custody. So they're probably sick of that. So they worked something out so that they could have a service to help. I don't know what the percentage would be. I would estimate it's probably about, I'll say 70. That's kind of high. I'll say 70% of their customers are not comfortable with using the device and are terrified and are losing their crypto because they can't figure out how to use the wallet right, or they don't understand the conception, and they're constantly calling Ledger support on a daily basis, begging or demanding that Ledger give them their crypto back. So I can kind of understand why Ledger decided to do this, right? They're a company, they want to make money. Hey, we'll charge them for it. Why not? Right? You got all these, like, what do they call that? They have no choice, right? I hate it when I can't think of a term. Sitting ducks, I guess, but that's not the term I'm thinking of. Anyway, let me see if I can get caught up on the chat window. It's like streaming by here real quick. Someone steals my Ledger and simply sends my ID document, which they stole at the same time. Bye-bye Bitcoin, right? I have a feeling Ledger would be backtracking on this. Too late. We can't see the code. Love my Ledger, but this definitely lowers my confidence in them a bit. You know what is also annoying? No updates on mobile phones, only laptops. Yeah. Hey, I have a question. If you could help me out, what should I put 10,000? I don't do investment stuff. Sorry, Elijah. I appreciate you coming, but we're not here to discuss investments. Just moved all my BTC to a new passphrase via cold card. No more plugging in devices for me. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, this is really disconcerting that you can you plug your device in and connect to this service. Why don't we go ahead and launch Ledger Live and take a look at what this is going to do, just to see what happens. So I get why they did this, right? There's a lot of captive audience. That's the word I'm looking for. There's a captive audience for this show, right? There's all these people that have screwed things up and that are too, I'll just say it, lazy. Too used to being pampered by our society. I think I've shared this story before. I grew up in the United States. I taught English abroad for a few years, and I was in Indonesia and with my current wife, and we were going to take a little trip to Yogyakarta. We were in Jakarta, and we went into a mall and bought some stuff. And one of those things that we bought was a little bottle of sunscreen. And as we were leaving, before I actually walked out the door, I glanced down at my receipt and noticed that it seemed pretty high. And I turned around and I walked back in, and I noticed that sunscreen was like $10. You know, and back then, this is like 2006 or 7 or whatever, a bottle of sunscreen shouldn't have cost me $10. And I was translating from rupiah to dollars, right? It was like $10 worth of rupiah, whatever it was. And I was like, I'm not paying $10 for this thing. And she just looked at me with this blank look and said, it's too late. You already bought it. And I was like, what are you talking about? I paid cash. I have the receipt in my hand. I haven't even left the store yet. And you won't take it back? No, right? I was just livid, right? The nerve of that country, buyer beware, right? In the U.S., you can take fruit back after you've taken a bite of it if you think it's, our society, everything's take backs in the U.S., right? You go into a store, you buy a computer, you buy a TV, you take it home, you open it up, you can't figure it out, you tell them you don't like it, you take it back to the store, they won't take it back because the box has been open, so you call your credit card company and you say, I'm canceling the charges, right? Everything's take back in this country, right? So we're so used to that, and we get these self-custody wallets, which is a completely different thing. You are totally responsible, buyer beware, you screw it up, it's screwed up, and then we can't handle that, right? We want somebody to pamper us and take care of us and fix it for us if something goes wrong. So maybe we brought this on ourselves. Anyway, I'm just being facetious, guys. You know that. Let's go ahead and launch Ledger Live and see what we got here, if I can find my mouse. But here is the gist. This is the part that really upsets me the most. I get it. I don't have to use this service if I don't want to. But the part that bothers me is that the next firmware update is going to include support for this service. And so now my device, I am forced to update my firmware with this functionality added. I don't want this functionality on my device. Now, granted, the device is still secured by my PIN, right? In the same sense that only I can verify transactions, right? I'm the only one that can sign transactions in my wallet because I'm the only one that's holding the device in his hand. If I'm being generous, my assumption is that this service is similar to that. I am the only one that can authorize this backup. I am the only one that can put together the fragments on my device cryptographically because I am the one in control of the device and only I know the PIN. I'm going to give them that, right? But even so, I'm still leery of having to update my firmware now and add the functionality of this service onto my device. Let me go ahead and enter my PIN. And so what's my alternative? The alternative would be, to not update my firmware ever again. That's not a solution because eventually your device will become unusable if you don't keep up with your firmware updates. All right? Let's see if we can get this little camera thing doing what it likes to do. Whoops. I think it's this guy here. Yeah. All right. So we have our device. Let's see if we can make this slightly bigger. All right. So we have our device. And we want to go over to this ledger section here. And I have to allow a secure connection here. I wish this would come into focus a little better. Come on, baby. You can do it. All right. Yeah, I wish it would. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so yes, there's a new firmware update available. Telling me my device is genuine. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I can, yes. Okay, so what's new in the firmware update? Ledger Recover. Starting today, you can subscribe to Ledger Recover. Ledger Recover is an ID-based key recovery service that provides backup for your secret recovery phrase. Ledger Recovery is currently compatible with Ledger Nano X and available on Android and iOS, running the latest Ledger Live version. At the moment, a Passport National Identity Card is issued by the European Union, the United Kingdom, Canada, or the United States is required to subscribe to the service. So not only are they rolling this thing out, they're kicking everyone in Asia to the curb because they're not, a member of the Five Eyes, right? It doesn't say New Zealand on there, right? Oh, well, I don't know. United Kingdom, does that include New Zealand anymore? I guess not. New Zealand and Australia, right? Okay, so they got European Union, United Kingdom, Canada, and the United States. So no China, no India, no Japan, no Indonesia, no Philippines, right? Only these countries are eligible for this service? Wow. Okay. Yeah, and so apparently once I run this firmware update, that functionality will be in my device. But remember, only I can do this by connecting my device to their service, right? So it's not like everyone thinks that once I enable this functionality that somehow someone's going to hack my device. We still have the device in our hand, right? And it's still protected by our PIN. So no one's going to hack the device. the device is just as secure as it would be against someone signing a transaction in my wallet. It's still protected by me because I have physical possession and I have the PIN. So having this functionality, it's not going to just like, no one's going to hack in and just suck it out from remotely. At least I don't think so. Just like having it connected now is not, no one can hack into my device and suck my recovery phrase out of the device, right? It's protected against that, right? So having this new service, I don't know, but I feel like I'm still protected by the fact that I have physical possession and I'm protected by my PIN, right? So no one is going to break into my house, connect this device, and then steal my ID and then register it. And no one is going to use my ID to contact Ledger and these other three guys and grab 3 pieces of my seed phrase, and they won't be able to get it together because they don't have the device. That's my thought. But I could be wrong about that, right? It's my understanding, and I'm just like, spitballing here, that the device is required for both the backup and the recovery phase of this entire operation, right? So I could be wrong about that, but I'm still not comfortable with having to connect my ID to my crypto. I don't like that at all, and I'm not comfortable with having to add this functionality to my device either way, all right? In fact, I'm not going to do this at the moment, right? So I don't know. So what are they going to do? Are they going to have 2 separate branches of their firmware? Once people start refusing to update their firmware with this service, are they going to have to start providing a secondary branch that does not include this service? And even if they try to do that, no one's going to trust them anymore. The Ledger will go, whoa, we're really sorry. We didn't mean to force you into, adding this functionality. We're going to give you guys separate firmware updates. Who's going to believe them, right? I don't know. Right, but that's it, right? So yeah, it's a little bit arrogant that they're not including anyone in Asia. I would say they have left the majority of the population of the world out in the cold, right? India, Japan, Indonesia, the Philippines, China, all of the people in those countries that own ledgers are not eligible for this service? I mean, if you're going to roll something out, why not make it universal to your product rather than only servicing, a certain piece of the population? This just gets worse and worse as we go, right? Oh my God. All right. So I'm going to try to I'm going to switch over to the chat window here real quick, see if I can. I want to scroll up and see what people are talking about. Oh, by the way, while we're on the subject, we're not on the subject, but I'm on this screen here. I did drop some videos today. As I mentioned, I dropped this Ledger Recover First Impressions video, which is doing pretty good. And I also released this Auto GPT setup video with a step-by-step walkthrough of configuring Python and Microsoft Visual Studio Code and a bunch of other stuff so that you could download this open source software to run this Auto GPT thing that connects to Chat GTP, and it's really amazing. And I really worked hard on the video, and I just posted this video, and then Ledger comes along and steps on it by forcing me to deal with this issue. And now the Ledger video is getting all the attention, and this other video that I put all my heart and soul into is fading into the background. Anyway, that's another rant of mine. I'm ranting a lot tonight. All right, so let's go over here. I'm not going to throw any commercials in. No, you're missing the point. It was sold as not possible to export the seed phrase. I get that, right? I covered that as well. I'm just talking about a lot of other things that I have problems with on this, right? But yeah, I mean, I totally get that, right? And the crusty crustacean, that point that he's bringing up about the seed phrase or the device not being able to export your secret phrase or seed phrase or private key, however you want to think of it, will be that functionality of being able to export is added by this firmware update, right? So as long as we haven't done this firmware update, our devices are okay, right? But like I said, you can't just limp along maybe for the next few months or maybe even a year, maybe not a year, maybe for the next few months it can limp along without updating the firmware. But sooner or later, the device will need to have a firmware update one way or the other, right? That's the conundrum that we're in right now. Yes, I get that the device was touted as not being able to export the seed phrase. The seed phrase never leaves the device. Yeah, I understand that. That's true. As long as Space Station doesn't zoom into your nano screen and get your PIN, as long as when you type it in, well, yeah. Who knows? I'm going to assume that when I'm in the privacy of my home, no one is watching me. But hey, you never know, right? They might have nanobots, nano cameras installed in the mosquitoes or whatever. I don't know. No one wants to use Ledger anymore. Who's in charge over there? The code is not open source like MetaMask, etc. Plus, they should be storing seed phrases with Fidelity or someone credible, not these random 3 companies. That makes sense as well. Thanks, Supernova, for that one. Hello from Brazil. Is it possible to come back doors and some firmware update in Trezor Company? That's the question that I hear a lot when they talk about backdoors, firmware updates, those sort of things. I'm going to say no in principle, that a firmware update it is not a attack surface for hackers, but I could be wrong about that, right? Supposedly the device has cryptographic handshakes that prevent like hackable code from entering during firmware updates. But I could be wrong about that. But that's my my understanding of how cryptography works, and these devices are cryptographic devices, right? Just kind of scroll up a little bit. I want to say thank you, JDO, for being here tonight. 2 central sources of all data. Ledger does not state if they have any penetration testing from independent sources. I believe they do test their devices with third parties. They are certified by like standards organizations. I believe that the devices are tested by standards organizations and white hackers to ensure that they do generate random seed phrases when they get initialized, that kind of stuff. Yeah, this service seems like it would add a lot of attack surfaces, right? Not to mention, and here's another problem that I have with this service that I mentioned earlier, the fact that they've added this service. Let's say that this service is foolproof, right? Let's just assume that the service is foolproof, that no one can hack it, they have all this good stuff in place that ensures your identity is secure and the seed phrase is secure. This cryptographic split that happens on the device is totally safe. And then the pieces that are stored in different locations are not able to be brought together by the 3 companies or 2 of the companies to recreate your seed phrase. It has to happen on your device. Let's just assume that all of that runs without a glitch and is totally perfect. The problem that I have is that because they've introduced this service, they've introduced confusion into this whole process. I've been telling people for years that Ledger will never ask you for your seed phrase, right? Because that's how people get scammed. And now Ledger does ask you for your seed phrase, or has you connect your device and go through this process. Now we've got a whole new cottage industry of scammers that are going to pretend to be Ledger and trick people into going through all this. And what they'll probably do, this is, just like I said, spitballing again, what they'll probably do is have a website that says Ledger Recover. People will go there. They'll connect their device. Of course, it won't work because these guys aren't Ledger. They don't have the right cryptography to handshake and genuine check the device. So they won't be able to actually do it. But what they'll do is they'll come in and go, we're having some technical difficulties with your device. Can you just read the backup phrase to me? That's what they'll do. They'll trick people. They'll pretend to be the Ledger restore service. There'll be faux websites, phishing emails, texts, all kinds of stuff that are going to trick people into doing all of this and scaring them. Right? Oh, according to our records, you haven't enabled Ledger Recover yet. So please click this malicious link, go to our malicious website, and deal with our malicious staff who are going to walk you through the process of handing over your seed phrase to our malicious hackers who will restore your wallet and steal all of your funds. See there, let's just assume that this whole process, if Ledger is doing it, is foolproof. What's going to stop all these hackers from pretending to be Ledger and screwing people over by doing these kind of scams, right? I have to tell you, this morning, someone sent me an email and said, I got an email from Ledger that said that I can back up my seed phrase with them on their servers. And I replied to his email. Let me see if I can find it. I don't want to reveal his email address. I want to look in sent here. No, I guess I can't find it. Anyway, it never, when I'm trying to do it live, am I ever going to be able to find anything. But basically, I told him, that's a scam, don't do it. And I said, don't do it because Ledger would never ask you for your seed phrase. That was this morning. And then a couple hours later, I find out, oh yeah, they do. Now, the user that sent me the email put it in very simple terms. They said, Ledger told me I could back up my seed phrase on their website. That's how he put it. He didn't go into all of the detail that, though, they have a new service where you connect your device, it splits your seed phrase into 3 fragments, it gets stored in 3 different places. He didn't say all that, right? He just said, oh, I got an email from Ledger that said I can back up my seed phrase to their website. That's what people are going to understand in their minds, right? And that's fertile ground for hackers to come in and trick them into doing something like revealing their seed phrase. That's my take on that. Why introduce the confusion to their user base, right? I'm assuming that they did this because their user base were calling them and complaining that they wanted Ledger to get their crypto back for them. And so Ledger said, well, let's introduce this new service and deal with this. And now they've just made the problem worse, because now their product is even more confusing than it was before. That's my take. Giving us business ideas. It's a scammer smorgasbord. That's right. Send me your seed phrase plus $10 a month for Ledger Premium service. That's funny, Brian. JDO, we must also now assume that no individual employee will ever insert bad code that involves this new backdoor. Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's just so much that could go wrong with this, right? As JDO points out, they could have malicious employees that work at Ledger. Although they're a fairly small company, I would assume that they, do backgrounds and all that. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. And that employee could screw up the software that there's a point when the device is spitting out the seed phrase, maybe right before it gets split into 3 pieces. There's that window for the service to just grab the entire seed phrase. I don't know. I don't know how the software works. I don't know how the encryption and decryption are actually implemented using this service. But it just seems like there's a lot of room for all kinds of shenanigans, right? I blame EU regulators. Yes. What occurred to me earlier was, okay, so now we have the United States financial regulators trying to kill crypto by attacking centralized exchanges, right? We have several world central banks trying to introduce central bank digital currencies, right? And now we have the largest crypto wallet firm, basically, in the world, maybe not number one, maybe number one, that is trying to suck all of their users into this Five Eyes dragnet of let's link your IDs to your crypto now. It just seems like it's a concerted attack on crypto. But that the regulators, like the EU regulators, are coming down hard on Ledger, and this is probably one of the things that Ledger is doing to try to work in some kind of compliance, right? It's like a foot in the door. Don't shut us down. All of our customers are using our recover service, so we have all their IDs on file. We have all their crypto transfers on the blockchain that we can link to their identities. So, we can help you with all of your money laundering and terrorist financing and all that. We got every one of our users is, we know everything about our users, right? Because we have them all signed up for this service. So yeah, it just seems like a concerted attack on the crypto community. If you ask me, that was just but that just might be a paranoid delusion of mine. As I mentioned, I did, I've talked earlier in the stream about, I understand why Ledger is doing this. I'm sure they're getting tired of people screaming at them on the phone to get their crypto back when they screwed up something. So I understand why Ledger would consider offering a service like this. But they didn't think to run it by some real crypto people? I don't know. What about Cosmos Atom staking? It requires 20 plus unlock period. After unstaking via Ledger, should people unstake it and send it to a hot wallet? Like I said, if you have not run this firmware update, then this service does not affect you. It is only after you run the firmware update that this functionality has been added to the wallet, and it won't happen unless you go through all the steps to do it, right? You have to connect the wallet, you have to connect to their service, you have to verify your ID, you have to go through all this stuff. Even if you run that firmware update, you're probably going to be safe from whatever you're afraid is going to happen, right? It's still a Ledger device. But if you don't update your firmware, then you're totally not affected by it at all, right? But who knows how long you can hold out without updating your firmware. So, yeah, it could be 3 or 4 months. So if you want to unstake what you have staked, whether it be Atom or Well, Cardano is unstakeable immediately, but there are a lot of cryptos that have unbonding periods. Tezos, a couple of others. So, yeah, I mean, if you've got plenty of time to unbond your crypto if you want to move it to a different wallet. You don't have to move it to a hot wallet. You can move it to a Trezor. Or, I mean, there's like plenty of hardware devices out there that are compatible, right? The seed phrase is a BIP39 industry standard. So if you have a seed phrase and you don't want to use your ledger device anymore, you can restore it to a Trezor if you want to. And then just throw the ledger away if you think it's compromised, right? So that's an easy fix right there if you decide you want to change wallets. For Ledger to survive this, they must have 2 variations of firmware from here on out. Yeah, I agree. And I would appreciate that, but I have a feeling there would be a giant section of their customer base that would not even trust them to have 2 different firmware branches, right? I don't know. I'll start selling hardware wallets. Single post-it note and a pencil seems safer for you. Only $40. Richie Rich, I'm getting myself out of this Ledger wallet. Time to move to another hardware wallet brand. This is the dumbest move. They just shot themselves. I lost all my trust in this brand. Crypto and trading. Hello. Maybe know what happened with Coinbase withdrawal. I withdraw Matic and still pending. Now I am waiting 1 day. Lots of people waiting. Thank you. You have to be patient with withdrawals on cryptocurrency exchanges. Generally, when you withdraw from an exchange to your wallet, it could take anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours. It's very rare that it takes over 24 hours, but it has been known to happen. And if you can see on the cryptocurrency exchanges end that they've initiated the outgoing transfer, and you can confirm that the address that you withdrew to is in fact your wallet address, then you should be okay, and maybe just wait a little while. It's not unheard of for withdrawals to get hung up in the system a little bit. That happens sometimes. It's not normal, but I have had withdrawals take like 24 hours before, sometimes more. I remember I had one with KuCoin, and I basically just, after 24 hours, I opened a support ticket and I gave them the transaction ID of the transfer, and said, this is the transaction ID. I withdrew X amount to my wallet and blah, blah, blah. Can you help me? And then like within a few hours, I got an email from them saying, don't worry, your withdrawal will be complete soon, or it's already complete or whatever. Yeah, if you are 100% sure that you withdrew to your wallet, then sometimes just a little patience. If you run the firmware update, and even if you don't open up to the service, that new code is on the ledger, potential backdoor for a hacker. Yeah, but the hacker would have to have your device and have to know your PIN and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, even if someone like grabs steals your device, takes physical control of it, maybe it's easier to hack with this new functionality than it would have been if all they needed to hack was your PIN. But even so, I mean, if someone is able to steal your device and somehow hack your PIN, which has been done in very isolated cases, but like I said, they have to have physical possession of the device. So when we talk about a hacker, then we've got a guy that sits in a dimly lit room, not very well ventilated, hunched over a computer, writing hacking code. And then you also have somebody that goes out and breaks into houses. Those are 2 different types of criminals, right? So when you talk about someone hacking your ledger, they need physical possession of the device to do that. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right? But I agree that if you've run this firmware update, then there's a larger attack surface on your device. If someone can get physical possession of it and they have the skills and all that other stuff, right? There's a lot of ifs involved in that, but less ifs pre-firmware than after firmware, right? I get that. Texas Life. LOL, bad advice, generate a new seed. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, if you haven't run the firmware update, your device should be fine. And if, I don't know why you would need to generate a brand new seed. But yeah, just to be safe, get a new wallet, generate a new seed on that wallet, and transfer all your assets over, right? Although maybe I'm in the wrong conversation. That happens sometimes. I am going to have to wrap up in about 5 minutes here. We got some steaks we're going to cook tonight while it's still light here in West Michigan. But I'm still here for the next 5 minutes. Very soon they will get a class action lawsuit. It's not out of the realm of possibility. My Atom has been unstaking stuck on Coinbase for over 32 days now. Oh, you had it staked on Coinbase. Okay. Coinbase, in order to comply with regulations, actually stakes it when you stake it with them. They have to do that to comply with regulations so that they can say they're just middlemen. So, but from what I understand, there's only a 21-day unbonding period for Atom. So if they've been unstaking it for 32 days, that's too long. If what you did is in fact unstake it, I mean, I've never staked crypto on Coinbase, so I'm not exactly sure how it works. But I would assume that if you go into the staked wallet in your account, there should be some indication of that it's being unstaked, and there should be a countdown. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but if I were Coinbase and people were staking on my website, and they wanted to unstake it, I would give them some sort of readout saying, hey, you've got 2 days left, 1 day left, 0 days left. Okay, now you have access. So yeah, I don't know. But that's a Coinbase issue. I can't fix a Coinbase issue for you. So yeah, it sounds messed up. That's about all I can say. So you're going to have to deal with Coinbase about that. Who are the three companies? Ledger. Well, one of the companies is Coincover. And then the other one is, they don't even say. They say it's a third party. Here. Yeah, it says Ledger, Coincover, and a third provider. So Ledger is one of the companies. Coincover is the other company, and then a third provider. I'm going to say that's weird that they say it like that, but I'm just going to guess that it's probably different depending on the country. Like if you're in the U.S., that third provider might be some service that kind of covers the U.S., whereas in the EU, that third provider might be a different company that's, compliant enough to, be eligible to, store this encrypted fragment. Right. I'm just saying, otherwise, why wouldn't they just tell me the third party? I think they're just saying that because it might be different depending on what country you're in. I don't understand, do we leak our seed via signed transactions with new code implemented as they stated when we opt into their service? Will this put us in danger on every transaction? Not as far as I'm aware. The way it is stated here, that functionality of generating this encrypted seed phrase in 3 parts is only when you connect to this service. Has nothing to do with signing transactions. But like I said, they aren't giving anyone all the finer details of how this actually works cryptographically. So I don't know for sure. But my gut instinct is that it's still safe to use your wallet for regular transactions, even if you choose not. Even if you've run this firmware update and chosen not to use this service, you should still be okay, even though you have a higher attack surface if someone gets a hold of your device, right? I don't want to talk in circles here. But, and see, that's just the kind of confusion that this new service is causing, right? We don't know, all right? Is now our device more susceptible to some kind of, hacking while we're using it? For regular day-to-day stuff now, we don't know, right? They haven't really given us all the details about how this thing works. This service, right? The third-party NSA, I like that. People having issues. There are a lot of people in the same boat, lots of people on Reddit about it. Okay, fine. Still talking about Coinbase. Yeah, that sucks. That Coinbase is like not unbonding people's crypto. Trezor is open source, and so the firmware is auditable. Yes, I agree with that. Too risky for me. Third party, North Korea, country specific, the state government. I will carry on using the Ledger Nano S, right? The Ledger Nano S is unaffected by this. Guys, I'm very scared. Should I move all my crypto out of Ledger? Like I said, if you haven't done the firmware update, don't freak out. Don't freak out yet. But you're welcome to move your crypto to another wallet if you're too freaked out about this service. But my take is that if you haven't updated your firmware, you have nothing to worry about. It's the same wallet it was yesterday. If you do use this firmware update, I still think that the device is usable and just as safe as it was, but I would not recommend doing this service. That's just my take on it, right? No need to freak out and think that, the boogeyman's going to take your crypto because Ledger has this new backup service, right? It's Ledger. They have a lot of experience with cryptographic handshakes, genuine checks, all that great stuff. I'm assuming that it's well thought out, but just misguided business-wise, right? But math-wise, I think it's okay. But yeah, that's the problem, right? Nobody knows for sure, and that's why the introduction to this service is causing such a stink, right? Because people are confused and upset about this. But I don't put it past the EU regulations for putting the pressure on Ledger, right? They are based in the EU. Anyway, I'm going to have to sign out, but I did want to point out that the Trezor supports Shamir backups. Now, a Shamir backup is a multi-piece backup that you can do on your own. And they've implemented this Shamir backup fairly recently. This is totally cryptographically sound and safe. You do this in the privacy of your own home. You decide where you want to put the pieces of your recovery phrase. It just makes it so that your recovery phrase is not as vulnerable to one person finding the whole phrase, right? It splits it up into pieces and allows you to store it in different locations, right? But this is totally done by the end user. This is total self-custody. And I think this is, a better cryptographic in the spirit of decentralized cryptocurrency than this Ledger solution. I just don't understand why Ledger thinks they have to do this custodial solution for backups and restores. Well, I understand why it is because they had so many people calling them, begging them for their crypto back or demanding their crypto back, and they decided that they should have this service. They saw an opportunity to make a little extra money. but a bad business decision on, I think. It's just my take on it. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Thank everyone for their opinion. I got to jump out and do some steaks on the grill. Thought them out this morning. Did not expect this to happen today, as I mentioned. Sorry about the glitch when we got started. But stay safe out there. I've got a bunch of different crypto wallets, but I'm going to have to do some soul searching and decide what I want to do with my device. All right. Once again, I want to thank everybody. And now I had promised earlier that I was going to do a setup video on how to do this. I'm a little worried to even do the setup video because I'll have so much backlash from crypto purists about even demonstrating how to do this. I wasn't going to do it with my go-to device, though. I was just going to like initialize a brand new device and maybe put $20 worth of crypto on there and do this backup service as a demo. But I'm not sure if I even want to do that now. Anyway, guys, have a great night. As I said, thank you for being here. Let's see. This is not going to look good, but I'm going to try this. Yeah, this is not going to look great. Oh, it's not bad. This light over here is just kind of messed up. But anyway, you can see the end of my table there. But I do this live stream every Saturday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a special live stream, but I really appreciate you guys jumping in and giving your opinions. I get the feeling that nobody really cares for this. I understand. I kind of understand why they did it, but like I said, please join me on Saturday. I appreciate everyone, and keep an eye out for more videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and peace out, guys. Thanks again. Thank you, Jeff.